nice to see you all. Thank you for being here. All right. Well, I think, as you know, I'm Elaine Jackson. And this is the last class in this particular module of Buddhist mind science, getting to know your own mind. So it's the fourth of 4 classes in this particular module. There are 7 modules throughout this curriculum, and throughout there are 4 components that are discussed and cultivated. And the first is purpose, establishing a goal for our life that aligns with a meaningful direction. And the second is mental balance. So this is a foundation for self-care and developing positive attitudes. The third is warm-heartedness, a caring not just for oneself alone, but for all beings, developing a sense of equanimity. And wisdom is the final of the 4, which is understanding how reality actually exists. You know, we think we know, but we've got it wrong. So it's seeing how our mind, understanding how our mind and our perceptions color our reality. In his book, Atomic Theory and the Description of Nature, Niels Bohr said, all experience makes its appearance within the frame of our own point of view and perception. This is really important to remember, especially when we're having a conversation with differing views. Remembering that it's just a different perception. It's a different point of view coming from their side. And we will be talking later on about how we create this point. And that also is the point of next weekend's retreat. How do we create, yes, this frame within which all appearances arise? So last week we discussed the nature of mind and its continuity. Just a little bit on karma, the law of cause and effect, how intentional actions leave imprints on the mind, and how that affects our future. So we also emphasize the importance of meditation as a way to understand not only our own mind, but our world, to be able to understand it through direct experience. Today, we'll briefly recap those points and explore their implications. Because to understand is to open the mind to a whole new realm of possibilities, to understand how we create, as Buddha said, how we fabricate our experience of the world, to understand that the sky's the limit. So we'll look more closely at karma and the continuity of actions and their imprints, which are concepts that are pivotal in Buddhism in general. So, as usual, we'll begin with a meditation. So I invite you to take a good seat. And for this practice, mind simply means the knowing quality of awareness. That which knows. Whatever is aware. What is aware of thoughts, feelings, and emotions, sensations. So please settle your body into your seat. Take a good seat. Maybe a deep breath to just simply say, okay, I'm here, and I'm just going to let it all go. Feel the support beneath you, stable, and let the breath be natural as you attend to it, feeling the sensations that rise and fall in the body. To establish a sense of deep relaxation, allow your awareness to come to your crown and there experience a sense of warmth, perhaps a small warm sphere of light that descends down right through the center of your body, shining out and touching on any place where there's tightness or tension. And give it permission to simply release. Noticing your facial muscles down into your neck and across your shoulders. Give some special love to places that perhaps you're experiencing maybe some pain in the shoulders or the wrists, and floating down through your torso, your upper back, around your shoulder blades. Let the light flow down to the small of your back. Let your belly be soft. Let it receive the full breath. Nothing to hold in. A total release coming down to the sit bones, your glutes, soft down your legs, letting your hips have some energy, your knees, all the way down to the soles of your feet. Let every cell of the body relax. And within this sense of relaxation, thoughts and impulses may appear. An itch or an urge to move, to adjust, an inner comment. This is normal. Notice them and just see, oh, they change on their own. This is observing the sensations within the body and allowing whatever appears to simply appear. Then let awareness be open to include sounds and thoughts. All sensations, without trying to stop or fix or improve anything. Simply notice, just experiencing what is happening. Keep the attitude gentle, relaxed, curious, and kind toward whatever you notice. When thoughts arise, Treat them like passing weather, appearing, changing, dissolving. Realize that you don't have to follow them. You can simply know them. Become aware of mind's quick habit of liking and disliking. If it's pleasant, I want. If it's unpleasant, I don't want. And then see that these are also just thoughts and feelings arising in awareness. Let them be without adding a story. Now I invite you, instead of analyzing the content of the mind, simply look. Are thoughts and feelings separate from the knowing that is aware of them? And gently ask, what is it that knows this thought, this sound, this sensation? Let the question turn attention toward the knowing itself. No need to answer in words. Just rest for a short time in simple awareness, open and present, and let whatever arises come and go. And we'll pause here in silence for a couple of minutes. And as we bring the meditation to an end, return to the breath for 3 cycles. And feel the room around you. And let us set a simple intention. May whatever clarity has arisen support our kindness and wise actions today and always. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes. So rather than judging thoughts that arise as good or bad, we practice seeing them arise and pass. They're like sounds or clouds. And the key question is, what is aware? That knowing. What is that? When we focus inward, we realize that happiness and suffering are experiences within the mind. And we have a tendency to reify them, to make them real. And this gives rise to grasping. I like, I want. I don't like, I don't want. We like and we want to have, and we reject what we don't like. My partner Keith says, there's what happens, and then there's what we make of it. It's the story we tell ourselves. I remember when I was a child, I used to like watching Dragnet. Is anybody old enough to remember Dragnet? Sergeant Joe Friday. He would say, just the facts, ma'am, just the facts. Because, you go to get the information from the witness and there's a grand story. Just the facts. So I wonder what would happen if we practiced witnessing appearances without taking them as objective facts. Witnessing. It's to consider. This is something to cook. So our happiness stems from a mental experience of joy, and suffering arises from an experience of pain. Outer conditions can contribute or influence these experiences, but ultimately they are mental phenomena. They are arising in the mind. So we're aiming to look very deeply into experiences. Sort of like it's the first time we're experiencing them, first time we're seeing them, looking at it with curiosity. So trying to understand what generates different kinds of feelings. What is it that does that? And this is the key point of the meditation. What is this thing that is there? And where did it come from? We practice an openness, a freshness, a curiosity. It's like with an unbiased mind to see what's arising in an unbiased way, like a child. When we walk into a place, it's a different experience. Especially we walk into this gompa, and we've been here many times, and we have a different experience than a child who walks in. It's like all So this is the kind of mind that we're trying to cultivate, to be able to see what's arising in the mind and what is it that knows. So this unbiased childlike wonder. So instead of focusing on what's arising and telling us, the committee that has all the opinions, this is how it is, and this is why I like it, and this is why I don't like it. No, it's a question of actually seeing what is truly there. So we simply watch, free from any preconceptions when we are doing this meditation. You have questions, comments? As my criminology professor used to say, statements of fact, fancy, anything relevant you wish to say? Okay. So otherwise, we can delve into the topic of the continuity of mind, the continuity of consciousness. What is mind? So we previously discussed whether the mind is merely an emerging property of the brain or something else. What do you think? What is it? Does it come from the brain? Is it just chemical, physical, neurological processes? Or is it something else? The Buddhist perspective, coming from deep concentration, suggests that the mind is distinct from the brain. And if this is true, there's some profound implications to that, leading to the question, what happens after death? This mind, if the mind is separate from the brain, what happens to it when the body ceases to function? Do we take another body? Do we go to God? Is there nothing? Is death the final destination? Many people would say yes, but this is a relatively new or modern view. This scientific view, if you can't see it and register it and study it, then it doesn't exist. Maybe that's true. Maybe I'm making that up. So the question is, throughout history, many cultures have not viewed death as a conclusion, but rather a transition, a change of clothes.
Slow down. Slow
Hello.
down.
So if we think about death as a continuity, with modern perspectives, often we consider death as an end, and this feeling is limiting. If we consider it's the end. But if we reflect on awareness of mortality that can continue, then it helps us appreciate life more fully. So let's just pause and do a little reflection, self-reflection. So from your point of view, are we truly aware of this mind, where it was and where it will go? Think of right now, this mind right now. What's arising in the mind right now? This consciousness, not necessarily what's arising actually, but this knowing. And I invite you to think about when you woke this morning, that mind. And then back up to last night. You have a memory of yesterday. And maybe not specifically, but perhaps you have a memory that goes back a week or two or a month. Maybe the Christmas holiday. Or perhaps you can remember a significant event that took place last year or the year before. Go all the way back to when you were in school. A lecture hall, a classroom, some memory of friends, things you did. And maybe if you can remember the very early days of school, perhaps someone walked you to school or drove you to school. Maybe you remember some teachers when you were in kindergarten or first grade. Some events when you got your first bicycle or your pets. Can you go back to the first memory of this life? And then what about before you were born? Imagine what your previous life might have been like. And that continuum can go back to the events of that life, the work, the family, the school, small child, and back and back and back. And then gently, simply come forward into this room where we are right now. And then think, well, I have memory, and this continuity of consciousness will continue, perhaps. So this is an interesting exercise, because when the body dies and the brain no longer functions, what happens? You know, where does the mind go? What do you think? Do we give it a thought? question is, do we give it a thought? We have been looking at mental afflictions, the things that disturb our mind. Aversion and attachment, pride, jealousy, doubt, all of these mental afflictions that cause suffering. We've been looking at them. And where do they come from? See, the point is, we want to be happy. And when we are overcome by aversion, hatred, irritation, or this grasping desire that wants, the mind is not at peace. And the reason why it's not at peace is because we grasp that arisal of aversion as true, that this object that I don't like exists exactly as I believe it does. But if it's true, well, then everyone would like that or dislike that in the same way that I like or dislike. So we're looking to view what is arising in the mind as adventitious, coming due to causes and conditions, to see it, to see that it comes because it has been entertained before. And we have thought of it as quite real and quite justified. So it will now come again. So when we think about the continuity of consciousness, what do I want to arise in my mind? What brings me happiness? These positive states of mind like love and compassion, joy. What brings that? Because as Talopa said, view the mind as having no thought other than repetition. So it's the habit of the mind. And when we meditate, when we go and we look and we sit and we watch how it is that these thoughts arise, and if we leave them alone, they go. So this is an exploration. It's an exploration. It's an investigation to see how we fabricate our world, our experience of the world. So if we view the mind as distinct from the brain, there are significant implications regarding our mortality and our understanding of life after death. So some key points to consider. If the mind exists independently from the brain, it suggests that consciousness may continue after a physical death. So this can bring comfort. So it implies that a form of existence in some form or formless way exists beyond this bodily life. And that leads to ethical and moral considerations, because if death is not the final destination and I take another body, what kind of body or life do I want? Pragmatically, if mind continues, we want our next life to be a good one. I think that's true, right? Yes? If mind is separate from the brain, then this may influence how we approach our actions, our morality, our ethical decisions. So it may encourage us to act with greater compassion, knowing that our actions impact the continuity of consciousness. And viewing the mind as distinct can also reduce the fear of death. So it transforms this finality of death into a transition rather than an end point. So this view can lead to more meaningful engagement with life. I think it was Ken MacLeod who wrote a book, Wake Up to Your Life, which is really, it's like paying attention and looking to the good, trying to find the goodness that we see instead of always seeing a lack. So this shifts our perception to create more meaning, prioritizing our experiences and our relationships. So in the interviews with people who have had near-death experiences, over the years, there have been many, 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 many examples. And they oftentimes say that they completely change the way they live their life, that they are aware of their fragility and they are aware of living a more meaningful life with the one that they have, making decisions to live more meaningfully. They're more conscious, more mindful, to make each day worthwhile. So by reflecting that we're going to die, we don't know when, we can get the same benefit as someone who has had a near-death experience and their reality was shaken. So by thinking every day to make this day meaningful, because it might be my last. Actually, this moment might be my last. Where's my mind? What is the state of my mind right now? So just as we plan for this future of this life, we can plan for the future of future lives. We can set that in motion. So we're not only working for mental well-being now and in this future of this life, but life after this. Then it brings perspective as to how we live. So then we can ask, so what's meaningful? What makes a meaningful life? We look at our actions and we discover that actions have consequences. But the Buddha points to consequences that we may not be paying attention to, especially the imprints that are left on our mind. So we're going to take a 10-minute break and then we're going to come back and reflect on actions that society finds positive. Okay, so let's come back at 6 minutes after. Ding, 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 ding. Somebody will ding a little bell, but this way you can stretch your legs, you can get a cup of tea. Okay, we're back. So we were just talking about technique, meditation technique. So when you have a technique of counting, for instance, you're breathing in and you're counting to a certain number and you're holding and you're counting and then you're releasing and counting. If that brings you to a state of presence and holds you and helps you with your concentration, by all means, count like that. Often we count in a staccato fashion, a full cycle, which is breathing in and out as one. So you might say one, and you, but it's not one, 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 two, 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 two. It's not on the number. It's just to, mm, it's just to keep you at that. It's an anchor, okay? And then you go to 10. And if you get to 10, then you come back to 1. And then that's the operative word, if you get to 10. So this gives us it does give us an anchor. It gives us a place to be, and we recognize how many and where we are, and it does tend to push the thoughts and feelings to the periphery and give us a momentary focus. And absolutely use that if it's helpful to you. And at the same time, there comes a time within that very meditation when you let go of that counting. And then on breath, or turn then to the awareness. It depends on what you have decided at the beginning of your meditation your object will be. So this is really important because we can be all over the map. We can say, I'm going to count this way, and then that's not working so well. I'm going to count this way. And no, I'm not going to count at all. So whatever our object is, then throughout that designated time that we have set for our meditation, we do that. And when we've lost it, we simply come back to that kindly, because this is what we do. This is training. We cannot expect that we will sit down and be present in every moment yet. And the more we practice and the more we come back to our object, then the longer we can stay on that object. It's simply training. And also, every time you sit, it will be different. You know, you may have a really, what you call a good sit. Hey, I've got it. And back, and then you have expectation. And it doesn't work out that way because everything changes. And so that's a lesson to rejoice in as well, that everything is changing. So this is something to think about and to really practice, to really try. Keeping your meditations short when you begin to train the mind in one-pointed concentration. Then keeping your meditation short and then taking a break and then trying again. Making a strong determination when you start. Okay, now for 1 minute, set a timer for 1 minute. I'm going to remain present right here on the sensation of the breath. And it's really important to how you get into the meditation to start with. Just go sit down and say, okay, now I'm going to meditate. It's like of tilling of the soil. That the seed is planted and it sprouts, as opposed to throwing it on a rock because it hasn't been tended. So when you begin with opening your heart and having gratitude for an opportunity to take a look at the nature of this mind, which is the source of all my good. So this is good. And also thinking not just for myself alone, for all. You know, I'm not going to do this just for me, but I'm going to do it for all beings. I find it's very helpful when I sit to just call everyone, you know, y'all come now because we're going to sit together. And then I think of myself through the power of my practice, I'm helping them in their practice. So in some meditations, one brings the mother on the left and the father on the right, friends and family behind you, and the troublemakers in your life in front of you. You bring them right here where you don't really want to see them, but there they are. And so then you bring all the people you have yet to meet. You bring them. So you fill all of space. It's like being on a stage that goes at Woodstock. All of space filled with people. And so we take that seriously that I want to lead you to lasting happiness and complete freedom from suffering. And I'm going to do it by myself alone. So you have this courage that comes to your cushion. And then you determine for this period of time, I will do this. I take refuge in this practice. And then you do the practice. And at the end, then you put that good energy in the bank. You dedicate that energy, say, by the power of this goodness, may I truly be able to actualize my full human potential. And then I can lead all beings there. So by doing that, it's like a sandwich. It's like that meditation sandwich, stability, analysis, stability. Well, this is like motivation for the benefit of all sentient beings, the practice, and the dedication to fulfill that intention. So this creates a successful environment in which to meditate. And we take stock of where our mind is when we sit down. If we've had a busy day or we've had a disruptive day, we've had unpleasant circumstances come into our view, we acknowledge that. Oh, yeah, it's been like that. But now I can let that be for now. And I'll just be present in this moment, because in this moment, this present moment, just this one right here, there's peace. Okay, good. Good enough, dear Lama would say. So let's go back to thinking about intentions. What is it that we normally consider positive actions in society? Let's just think in our own mind. What do we think of something that's positive? If you ask a list, say, that was the very first thing on the list, feeding the hungry. Smiling. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. List. Yeah. Yes. Children. Taking care of children. Just being with children. Positive action, being with children. Yes. Being there for one another. Yes. Yeah. What do I have here? Oh, hospice. Yes. Yes. These ones that society in general considers positive. So what do you think makes them positive? We label positive the fact that what? The effect. The effect. The effect. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No harming. Yes, they don't harm. Yes, they're positive. They don't harm. Hmm. So if we, so there, that I wanted to point to that. What action makes you feel good? And then the question is there a difference if something is positive? Does it depend on your intention behind the action? Does it depend on the results? Or does it depend on the action itself? Why do we consider it positive? Is it self? Please, a comment. Yes. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
The action colors the action. The effect of the action.
Hold on, I'm gonna give you the mic because the Zoom people can't hear you when you
I have to marshal my thoughts here.
Yes.
Yeah, it's tough to say which is the prime factor in those three. Is it the intention? Is it the action? Or is it the effect? And we've all seen people doing good things with the intention of them being seen. You know, there's that factor. And then there's also the factor of the effect. You know, if I intend to help someone and my intention is to be seen, what is the effect of that action truly? Am I really benefiting the other person? There is some benefit, you know, maybe getting a meal, just as an example. So I can't pick one as the chief.
So may I ask, if we're talking about the effect on one's own mind, so on your mind, which one is primary? Your intention, the result of the action? Mm.
Go with
Or
intention.
the action itself, you know? You would go with intention.
Yeah, if I had to choose.
Yes,
I'd
yes.
choose.
Because could we say perhaps that we might have a really beautiful intention and we do what appears to be a really good action, but in fact it has a harmful effect, like perhaps giving someone something to eat that poisons them accidentally.
Yeah.
You know, so really the intention. So what is it in the intention that creates the positivity?
All right. Someone else.
I don't think if you do the action, you have to be attached to an outcome.
Mm-hmm.
So the result to me is less important.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think just doing the action in the present moment is enough. And then have that as the enough factor that you've done enough.
Mm-hmm.
And that
so-
always makes me feel a little fulfilled.
Mm-hmm. And the intention is what? If we're looking at our intentions, if our intention is just to be sure that you're fed, to give food, our intention is to give food. Why? You see, looking really deeper into that intention.
Because if one, if one person's hungry, we're all suffering. It's that kind of idea of,
Yes. So
and I feel that,
to help,
yeah.
to really to give. So it's out of a sense of compassion for someone or love for someone, wanting them to be happy and to not suffer.
And the fact that I'm able to do it is also to me really important. Is I have the ability, therefore
Yes.
doing it is to me the right thing.
Yes, it's good. So Buddhism really emphasizes the importance of intention, that they are what's crucial. So for example, you know, if we practice generosity and the intention affects both the giver and the receiver, you see, if my intention, as you say, is really because I want to be seen, giving, and we think that that person doesn't really know that's my intention, still there's some kind of underlayment there. They know, you know. So it's not, and we know they know, we know our intention isn't really a pure intention. It's just, okay, I want to be seen as a good person. So this is pride. So it makes a difference in what our intention is. So even though the same act, we could see uh, a different result, both internally and externally, depending on our intention. Is it to bring happiness? Or is it because I have to? Or is it my job? So there's a difference when we have intention. So a positive intention, how does it feel? So we look to give a positive reaction for the person who's actually giving, for it to leave a positive imprint. It's to be meaningful. What is meaningful? Not mindless. Even let's just take feeding our pet. Now, it can be a neutral, it can be a neutral action. You just know that at 6 o'clock, they're there wagging their tail, and you put the food in the bowl and you set it down. And that's a neutral action. But to turn it into a positive action, making that imprint in the mind, it's through the power of thinking. Oh, here, Fido, I want to give you some food. I want you to be happy here. Isn't that terrific? I'm so happy I can feed you, that I have the ability to feed you. So you're actually training your mind to enjoy giving, not to feed them because they will bark. So it turned very about that. So it's ask doing what a side to. Oh yes, in something. Put it up there. That's right. I remember we put it on the Kleenex box last week. Yes, how good it is to have these tricks of trade. Maybe that. It's a little more stable there. Oh, good. Well, now you all have to remind me next weekend to put it on the Kleenex box. Okay, good. So we're talking about creating a positive action out of a neutral action. So, for instance, washing the dishes. Lama Zopa Rinpoche has numberless bodhicitta mindful actions. So if we think we have to wash the dishes and we're grumbling because we're the only ones that wash the dishes and we're tired, but look at all those dishes. So the act of washing dishes can actually become a negative action because we're grumbling against the people who actually left the dishes in the sink and on the counter. But if we see it as an opportunity for doing something kind, cleaning up the kitchen and making sure that we're not leaving drips behind for the ants who are then going to be harmed when they come in, we create a positive view of it. And in addition to that, Lama Zopa Rinpoche would think, maybe as you're washing the dishes, think, I am washing all of the suffering away from every mind in the whole universe. And so even that little bit right there, oh yes, wash that too. So it changes the view, it changes your mind. The point is to keep the mind in a state of equanimity, positivity. And this is how we do it. We train the mind. and we watch. So if we're mindful and we see how it is that we're grumbling, as soon as we're grumbling, we see the heart is shut down, as soon as we begin to judge and criticize, we're not happy. So how can we make it happy? We have to witness that that's what we're doing. We have to see that we are judging, that we are criticizing, that we are bringing our own mind by ourselves alone to a state of dissatisfaction. Hello, thank you so much. But now you can go to bed. And we do something different. We train the mind in a different way. So Buddhism says we have to pay attention to the action, but also look at the intention behind it, because this is what activates this seed to ripen in the future as well. So we bring our awareness to our intention, and this relates to the topic of karma. So what is karma? Karma. In Tibetan, the word karma simply means action. Action. But we need to understand what is motivating our actions and maintain a positive intention, which leaves a positive imprint on our mental state. Lama Zopa Rinpoche has often said it's not good enough to be mindful, because a thief is mindful and a sniper is mindful, and the cat that sits at the gopher hole is mindful. So it's about the intention of helping rather than harming. Somebody said it's non-harming, right? So maybe we're generous, but when we give, we do so out of pride. We need to tell everyone. And the intention there is selfish. It's not a genuine practice of generosity. But when we make our intentions through the power of a wish to bring benefit, it has a greater positive effect on the mind, not just in the present, but in the future, for ourselves and for others. And we definitely can work with our motivation. We definitely can do that. That's something we can do. We can begin to do that. And we try our best. So we can't be meditating all the time, but we can pay attention to our intentions and try to create mental states that will bring benefit, loving kindness, compassion. These bring benefit to our own mind because they're positive states. They feel good. So this we can do. So we can make everyday activities meaningful. And I mentioned washing the dishes, walking the dog. We can make that a meaningful activity. I think I have told this story before, but when I was in long retreat, I always took a walk every day, and I would say Chenrezig's mantra quite often, Om Mani Padme Hum. And there's a little chant that goes along with it. So sometimes I would chant as I'm walking down. I'm in the woods, meanwhile. So it goes, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. So as I'm chanting that mantra, I'm sending out this loving, kind, compassionate wish for all beings to be happy. And one day when I was in retreat, I was watching the FPMT Discovering Buddhism videos. And Richard Gere was the one who was introducing that. And he said when he was a child, he used to really care about all the animals and the bugs and the worms. And he would say, may you be happy. Every time he would see some animal, may you be happy. I could just see these little children saying, may you be happy. So I started chanting, oh, may you be happy. Oh, may you be happy. Oh, may you be happy. And I'm telling you, it made a big difference because I was actually wishing happiness. I was saying Om Mani Padme Hung, and periodically it would send out the loving kindness, if I would see in something, the turkeys and the deer and the worms and whatever they were. But the actual Om may you be happy, made a big difference in my mind. And I thought, oh, so now the airplane flies over and I think, I'm chanting, oh, may you be happy. And I start thinking about these people flying around and hoping they're happy and visualizing them happy. So what happens to my mind? So happy. Then after retreat, people were complaining because they were changing the flight path. And it was going over their house. And I went to a council meeting. And people were getting up to the microphone and really talking about how they were getting a headache and they were so miserable. And I had, meanwhile, just gotten out of a 3-year retreat. And this was a crowd. And there were the supervisors. So everybody was getting up to the microphone. So I got up to the microphone and I said, when I was in retreat recently, I would hear an airplane go and I would just say, may you be happy. And that actually, I looked forward to hearing the planes come because it made my mind happy. And then I went and sat down. And I am certain that they thought I was a real Lulu. But nonetheless, it was true. It was true. Wishing other people to be happy brings happiness to oneself. So we look at our intentions. If our intention is to bring happiness, even though we don't succeed because we are not successful in making somebody else happy, we can give them what they need as much as possible, but we can't train their mind. We are each one responsible for our own mind, but we can definitely work with our own motivation and we can try our best. So we are defining our future, the direction in which our mind takes. This is important because we're cultivating this mind to think loving kindness thoughts. So when I harm someone at a subtle level, there's a reflection of harm within me. And the same is true of benefit. We're not just affecting the other, but also leaving imprints on the mind to create subtle tendencies to harm or to benefit in the future. This is the way karmic imprints work. So the conditions that we may experience reality, we are planting. Mind takes its shape from what it rests upon. So if I'm resting on nattering away at criticism, this is the shape of my mind. But if I'm thinking, oh, I really hope you're happy today, then my mind goes into that space of wishing happiness and how can I benefit you? It changes the way I think. So all actions are subject to causality. Thoughts don't come out of the blue. As Nan was saying, where do thoughts come from? They come from causes, previously planted causes. Repetition. Tilopa said, view the mind as having no thought other than repetition. So there are this is karma, and it's really complex. And it's not something that we're going to understand in this moment fully right now. But it is more a matter of cause and effect. So if we think causality, then it also brings to mind impermanence, because when the cause is expended, the effect is also. So effects are correspondent to the cause. Cause similar to the cause. The effect is similar to the cause. So the effect of kindness is similar to the cause of being kind. Sometimes it doesn't, the hardest part is that it doesn't necessarily ripen right away. You know, we might be totally kind and open the door and they cuss you out because they can do it themselves. But in the future, somebody will open a door for me. And it also plants a positive imprint on my mind. So we don't have unrelated causes to the effect. And this is really interesting to me because somebody once said, we create the cause to experience every result. So if that's true, that I have created the cause to experience every result, then everything that appears to me, I have created the cause to see. And I own it. How do I create the cause to see a different world? How do I create a cause to see a kind and just and free and loving, compassionate world? Well, really, I must change my own mind. I must work on my own mind. Because as long as there is greed, ignorance, and hatred in the world, there will always be war. So when we eliminate those negativities from our own mind and help others do likewise, it has a ripple effect around us. I wish we could have a magic wand. Salikadoola, magicaboola, bibbidi bobbidi boo. And then no more war. Yeah. So, you know, it is cause and effect. You know, if we jump out of a window thinking we're going to fly, you know, we're actually going to fall because it's the law. And in the same way, you know, this is how our actions reap their effect. So, and karma isn't the cause of everything. There are multiple conditions affecting it. So for instance, if I have a cold, you know, it's not just, oh, I have the karma to have a cold. You know, there are conditions, you know, there's the virus and there's the susceptibility and there's the whatever all those things are that create the cause, the bacteria and the. So now I've got a cold. So I don't have any control over that, but I do have control over my experience of it. You know, I can look at how my mind reacts to that. I might think, oh, fantastic, you know. Now all those people who have hay fever, may I take all that on? You know, it's my mind. I can train it to be miserable, or I can train it to be happy. So it's how I look at things, how I interpret my reality that causes happiness or unhappiness. So as I mentioned, karma is a very complicated topic. So it depends on a lot of causes and conditions. And we're only touching the surface. So in the simplest form, karma is cause and effect. So for every action we take, every thought, every word, every deed, it plants a seed on the mental continuum that will at some point in time ripen. Which is why we really have to mind our P's and Q's. And when we see a thought arise that is hateful, then we have to glue on the opposite. Because that thought will become a word, which becomes an action, which becomes a habit, which becomes our character, which becomes our destiny. And that is how we karmically create our future. You're frowning, dear. What? She said, what? Please.
today. And have to do these.
Yes.
If anybody will this, don't do it. Because it's too much. And I didn't know it. And now I can do this. Blade it, you know,
You have to explain more.
more is more.
So you engaged in cataract surgery.
Right.
I have.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the person took these and said, you're not, you are so mad at everything. And gave me this.
Oh. You're mad at everything?
Not today. So come here. That, and I'm Judy. I'm nobody else for today. But I'm right here. I throwed them. And I'm so glad I did. So so I could go on with my friends and my dads and whatever.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, we take care as much as possible of this body to be able to do what we need to do in order to be the best we can. And sometimes, we elect to do things that don't turn out the way we hoped.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Sometimes that happens. So how do we deal with that? Well, there are different ways of looking at things that have given us unfortunate consequences of our action, which we thought was going to be helpful, but turned out to be not helpful. So this being the case, then what do we do with that? So if we looked at the law of cause and effect as being creating the cause to experience every result, then what can we do about a result that we didn't care about, we didn't like? So we can think of it as impermanent. It's going to change. Whatever you're experiencing now is going to change.
There's people that are life. And I think these things, and the lady that molded me said, she doesn't want to, and that's the word thing I thought.
Don't want them. Well, I think if you, how do you change your mind? How do you try to see this in a positive way? Because it's just your mind that's creating a difficulty, right? In whether you like or you don't like. But if you sit and you see the beautiful mind that you have beneath the dislike, then you make that Judy. This is Judy. This one that is at peace. Perfect. And Lama would say, good enough, dear. Okay. Good enough, dear, Lama said.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
for everyone, I just wanted to say, so you know who you are looking at. Judith was the first member of our center over 25 years ago. She was the first one. And you remember, Judith, when you said that these people here, they are my family. And she's our family. So talking about karma and cause and effect, I'm so glad to have you here, Judith. And I'm so glad that today you're not angry. She's the most loving person you will ever meet, and she loves hugs. Just so everybody knows. So Judy, we're so happy to have you here. Thank you so much.
Judith.
Oh yeah, people are writing comments for us to give you hugs, Judith. So after the teaching.
Good, good. So we can say that intentions matter, because it is our intention that plants this seed. And intentions can bring about positive or negative effects. So this highlights the importance of mindfulness. And in many belief systems, karma is also linked to the cycle of reincarnation. So this life, the next life, the next life. Actions created in this life influence future lives. So this is part of this continuity of consciousness idea that we have to cook to see how that relates in our world. So when we remember that our actions and intentions are not just for this present moment, they shape our mental continuums for the future. They do. And understanding that, we do a better job with our actions, minding our mind. So by cultivating positive intentions and engaging in constructive actions, we can create more meaningful lives for ourselves and others. And understanding this is really crucial for creating the world we want to live in. Recognizing that our attitudes, our thoughts even our thoughts, that they affect not just ourselves alone, but others, everyone around us, So this gives us a sense of responsibility to mind our store, this warm-hearted mind. So when we consider our actions out of genuine concern for the welfare of others, we chip away at that self-centered attitude that is the cause of all of our suffering. Me, myself, and I, my own triple gem. Yes. But when we understand karma as a holistic principle, we can navigate life with greater ease and make better decisions that contribute to a better world for ourselves and for others. So we can strive to work or act with compassion and awareness, sharing our experiences positively and creating happiness and well-being. I was really uplifted by Dr. Richie Davidson. I met him in Dharamsala at a Mind and Life conference. He was one of the founders of Mind and Life Institute. And I met him, I think it was in 2000. It was the conference on destructive emotions. And he said, well-being is a skill. The science behind this fact makes a kinder, wiser, and more compassionate world possible. That gives me goosebumps. Possible, Karma is a huge topic. It's drawing attention to our actions and the decisions we make and what makes the future we want. It represents the natural law of cause and effect. And recognizing that our actions shape our future experience. So even if people don't see us doing it, it is shaping our future experience. And it expands, I know someone who had a very good job at a bank and used at one point in time in a critical point in the life, used the credit card that he had, the bank's or the mortgage company's credit card, just to pay that one electric bill that he didn't have the money for. And it was really easy to do because it It was an organization that he was doing. It was public utilities. I don't remember exactly the details, but it was that one time that made it easy to do it another time. And he didn't get caught, and he didn't get caught, and he didn't get caught, and he used it again and again and again and again and again until he lost his job, lost his home. Fortunately, the several $100,000 that he had taken, he had a rich relative who paid that back, so he didn't go to prison. But nonetheless, the imprint of that one, just that one time. So somehow, you take a $5 bill out of the till, you take the ream of paper from work, taking things, we just have to be impeccable in what we are doing, to take what's only freely given, to protect life, to speak kindly. All of these things make a big difference. Even going into our own mind, when we have ill will, I hope something bad happens to them. Or I wish I had what you had and you don't have it. These are things that leave imprints on the mind that create suffering. And if we want to be happy, then we cultivate positive intentions and we create a more meaningful life. So the main takeaway for this month of teachings, getting to know your mind, is that the very nature, fundamentally, of this mind, your mind and the mind of every living being, the fundamental nature is pure. And everything that arises within it is a cloud passing through. And it doesn't have any essence. So it can temporarily be clouded by these mental afflictions. But as we meditate on the nature of mind and see how afflictions arise and pass, if we don't grasp them, we can more and more and more and more let go. Until before long, that particular mental affliction doesn't seem to arise, doesn't seem to come up anymore. Yeah, wow. And that's what's purifying the mind. It's by seeing the negative impact, we stop doing that. We become a non-doer of that. And so that habit, that particular habit, diminishes until it just no longer arises. So we use meditation as a tool to have the direct experience of this. And over our lifetime, we see change. It's not next week, oh my golly, I've been meditating and paying attention for 2 weeks now. And still I'm angry. But we may see over a period of time, and we may surprise ourselves that there's no longer a rise when that particular thing is presented. So using meditation as a tool to cultivate this lasting happiness that we want, and so too does every other being want. And we can rest in that space when we get that glimpse of this pure mind, to rest there and say, this is my true home. Yeah. So we can rejoice in everything that we have practiced here today, and this week, and this month, and this life, all the goodness that we have done, and dedicated that we can actually make a difference in this world by cultivating loving kindness, compassion with a purpose. Those 4, having a purpose, lasting happiness for ourselves and every other being. Then mental balance, meditating, getting that equanimity to be able to see how things come and go, and cultivating positivity in our mind, warm-heartedness, growing that, and wisdom. When we understand how the mind creates our world, we begin to pay attention. So let's create a better world, eh? So I would like very much for us to chant Master Shantideva's prayer with an intention to stop the wars, really deeply in our heart, to use that. And maybe if I'm lucky, I'm going to share this screen. I have it right here. I have been sharing the screen, and the question is, do you have it,
Sheila,
Sheila?
Cynthia, are you guys gonna? Yeah, okay, wonderful.
I see it. I see it. You all rock. I did manage last week to share something. Anyway, didn't I? Didn't I? Okay. So let's just imagine surrounding ourselves by all the sentient beings as we sit here with a loving wish in our heart that the truth of these words come to fruition. And this grand wish arise in the mind and heart of all beings. May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, find an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merit. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms, the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. As long as space remains, as long as sentient beings remain, there too may I remain to dispel the misery of the world. Just imagine all that good energy going out all around this world. May it be so. And let's all also dedicate to all the people in our lives who are perhaps not well or who have passed away. Send them positive energy. And to all the seats of government around the world. May the hearts of those be softened, those in power. May they think of benefiting and never harming. May we be governed with enlightened politics. Thank you all, and I wish you well. And next week, let me just mention a little bit about next week's weekend retreat. It is about the wheel of life, how it is that we are in this samsaric circle through birth, aging, sickness, and death, and how we move through these 12 links of what's called dependent origination. This one depends on this one, which depends on this one, and where within those 12 links can we step off that wheel? So, yeah.
Elaine, will the retreat be suitable for beginners or is it more for?
Absolutely.
Yes? Oh, okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes, I have some slides which I will share. You have to make me co-host. Yes, yes. This is when Buddha was visited by King Bimbisara, who had received a very special gift from his neighboring kingdom, the king, and he asked the Buddha, "What can I give? I need to give this spectacular gift." And Buddha told him, "Paint this and give him this gift." So he gave the Tonka of the Wheel of Life. And it is said that King Bimbisara gained great realizations as a result of that particular one. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But anyway, that's the story. Nan.
Ryan, hold on. I'll just give you the mic so everybody can hear.
We're not able to attend on Saturday for various reasons. We're still invited for Sunday.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And if you can't come in the morning, come in the afternoon. And if you can't come in the afternoon, come the next day, however you like. As Nina said, even you get just a little bit, even you get a little bit, it plants a seed. It plants a seed for you to think about how, why? Okay. So we cook it. We make our stew. Okay. It's Saturday and Sunday.
Okay, but they're different.
They will be a continuation of the same teaching on the Wheel of Life.
Okay, thank
So
you.
it will not be a repeat. It will be ongoing. It's like from beginning to end.
The Saturday one,
Both.
both.
You have to have both days to
Oh,
get to the end. I'll get you to Chicago, but if you want to get to New York,
okay, so both are related. Okay.
they are
Yeah,
related.
that's what I wanted.
But I think they'll be recorded. Yes. Yes. So
Okay.
you can listen. And it should be interactive. We should talk about these things to really kind of understand, how do we create this world that we live in? And how can we create a better one? And where can we get off the wheel?
And maybe logistic point here. Thank you for mentioning it, Charlene. We are planning on catering lunch here. So we are requesting, if you are planning to be here, especially over lunch and eat, to register. And generally would be wonderful. So it's one of the very rare events. Like usually we just do it for a retreat where we request, not require, but request that you go online. There will be a button there and like a 30-second, fill out your name and an email address, and then there will be a question: are you going to be eating here on Saturday and or Sunday? And a request to pitch in, because we cater it, so we have to pay for the lunches. That's why we are requesting for people to register, so we don't order too much or too little, and are able to finance it. You are also welcome if you're not, happy eating catered lunch or something, to bring your own lunch, and then it's, donation based like it always is. So no worries. Don't worry about the financial side of it. It's just really for us mostly to get the counts, because when the food is involved, we also don't want to create waste, basically. So it would be very appreciated. If you forget, though, don't make that the reason not to show up. Then come, and there will be some extra food ordered. Charlene is the in charge, and she always orders bunch extra, so we always have leftovers. So don't worry about it too much, okay? But just a request.
Yeah. Yeah. So then there's an opportunity through the lunchtime to be able to share with one another. It's a beautiful time to be able to join eating together and join growing your sangha. You see, this is your Dharma family. Get to know one another, and you can help one another. You can, have study groups and have tea and chew over the points. So it's a beautiful way to live your life, to have a place to come and to share the Dharma in your life. So, and this is certainly a beautiful place. Yeah. So thank you all for coming. Yeah. 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 Okay, please feel free to carry on.